Welcome to Percussion Methods. Today we are changing and tuning a kick drum batter head. You're gonna need a new head, a tuning key, a large mallet or a bass drum beater, some white lithium grease, a few rags, and a permanent marker. You should replace any heads that have damage, have been defaced, aren't holding pitch, or just aren't giving you the tone that you want anymore. As you can see, this one is quite a bit past its prime. It's actually got a little crack on here. It's really dirty, it's sounding dull, there's a bunch of tape on it. So it's really time to change this one out. The first thing we need to do is remove the old head. Take your tuning key and starting with the lug closest to you, give it 2 full turns to the left to loosen it, then go across the drum to its partner, give one that, 2 full turns to the left, and then move clockwise to the next pair. Avoid tuning in a circle because it will relieve all of the head tension from just one side, which isn't great for the shell or the rim. Here's the next pair, the next pair, and the final pair. I'm going to continue loosening the tension rods in the same pattern until I can remove them by hand. Now that all the tension rods have been loosened, you can remove the rim and set it aside where it won't get dirty. I'm gonna place it on 2 music stands. With the rim removed, you can take off the old head and throw it in the trash or turn it into the world's worst Frisbee. Check the interior of the shell for any damage, loose bolts, and clean it out if it's dirty. Check to see if the tension rod casings have any lubricant in them. If there isn't any, add a little bit of white lithium grease. Leave just a little bit of grease at the top of the tension rod casings. Next, take your new head and set it on the shell. Take the bass drum hoop and carefully place it around the head, being careful not to touch it with the tension rods because it might make the head dirty. Now you can rethread the tension rods and get them finger tight. Check that your tension rods are vertically aligned above all the casings. It's common for a new head to have a little bit of play back and forth on the shell. Do your best to keep it centered by running your hands along the rim and checking for any gaps. You can also give a little bit of gentle pressure in the center of the head to pull everything toward the middle. With the head placed, now we can do an initial round of tension. Starting with the tension rod closest to you, give it 2 full turns, then go across, and then clockwise to the next pair. We're going across so we don't add tension to just one side of the drum, which isn't good for the rim, the shell, or the new head. During the tuning process, you might hear some creaks or cracks. This is just the new head being brought under tension. It's normal, so don't worry about it. I'm going to continue adding tension in the same pattern by a half turn until the head starts to have a little bit of pitch. I've been gradually bringing up the tension, and now this batter head is starting to have a little bit of pitch. So it's time to start clearing. Clearing is getting the head in tune with itself by locating tension rods that are too high or too low compared to the target pitch that we want. I'm gonna take my mallet and, starting at the tension rod closest to me, tap in a circular pattern, noticing the pitch difference. That sounds a hair lower. That one too. Especially with these large bass drum heads, I'm gonna give some gentle pressure in the center to make sure that everything is being pulled inward evenly. I'm going to continue clearing until all the tension rods sound like they're at the same pitch and I'm getting a tone that I like. Hearing the pitch on these low frequency, dampened bass drum batter heads can be a bit challenging. You can also go by feel. If you push along the edge and find an area that feels papery or has more give to it, you might consider bringing down the tension rods around it and raising those up a little bit. If during the clearing process you bring the pitch of the head higher than what you'd like, you can let off some of the tension in the same pattern that we were using before. Just make sure to do a round of clearing after you lower the tension. While I have the kick drum up on a table, I'll flip it over and check the resonant head and clear it as well. This head comes with an impact patch, which increases its articulation and lengthens its lifespan. I attached the pedal and left a mark on the head where the beater strikes it. That's where I'm going to place the patch. The last step of the head change process is to mark the change date. Take a permanent marker and indicate the month and year right above the stamp. It's common for a new head to sound a little bit stuffy after you first put it on. After a few days of playing, it should open up and become more sensitive. I'll revisit this head in the next week or two and clear it as needed to get the desired tone. I've been doing some clearing. Here's where we're at with the sound. It's punchy, it's articulate, has a little bit of ring, and it feels a bit springy in the hand. This will work nicely for us. For kick drum batter heads, I really like the Remo Powerstroke P3 coated. It's punchy, has a little bit of ring, and has some nice dampening on the other side of the head. I usually don't like to add any dampening to the inside of the drum, like pillows or a towel, because it's hard to get it dialed in a performance situation. You'll need to reach inside the drum or remove one of the heads to adjust it. You can find non-adhesive dampening solutions that you can apply to the batter head if you want a more articulate sound. Our new head is tuned up and sounding great. It's time to put this drum with the rest of the kit and get practicing.